Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Amrit Anubhav, chapter 2, Shri Guru Stavana, OV number 37. And we were seeing how Jnaneshwar Maharaj, after having given singing the glory of the Guru, and you can sing only through words, you can only communicate through words. Here he feels, and he comes to realize the inadequacy of the words to sing the glory of the Guru, who is of the nature of infinity. And in the previous, towards the end of the previous verse, he says that you are not allowing me to comprehend you. Why? Because if I take the position in the mind, mind cannot comprehend the infinite principle. So, O Guru Maharaj, you are not allowing me to comprehend you. Guru Maharaj, by any means, earlier I had at least the world to hold on to. Now I don't even have the whole world to hold on to. You have pulled that away, and now I cannot hold on to you also. See how beautiful. So, O Guru Maharaj, O Nivrittinath Maharaj, I am unable to hold on to the world. And why I am not able to hold on to the world? Because I realize that you are the source, you are the essence of everything. And when I go to seek you, or when I go to search for you, when I want to merge into you, you also vanish. Why? You are not you vanish, you don't allow me to catch you. So when this statement is made, it is made for the mind, by the mind. Mind is not able to catch the Guru. So neither the mind is able to catch the world. Why? Because world is continuously changing. How can you catch it? If we think we have caught the world, we are the most foolish fellows. And if we think we have caught the Guru, we are even more foolish, more ignorant. Why? Aprapya manasa saha. Mind cannot comprehend or catch that reality, that Guru Tattva. So now I am standing in between. Neither I can catch the world, nor I can catch you, the Guru Maharaj. And this frustration, the Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj expresses his frustration further. This frustration we have to come to. We are always intellectually, yes, I understood that, I am clear about that, I am on top of that. We must come to this conclusion in ourselves, in our contemplations, that we cannot comprehend. What we are thinking that we know the world, it's foolishness, because what you see the next moment it has changed, but you believing it's the same thing. This is about the outside. So you cannot catch the world because it's continuously changing. How can you catch the river? The moment say, oh, now I touched the river, it's already changed. The water has already gone. So how can you catch the river? How can you catch the world? And also, this mind is not a fit instrument to catch the essence of itself, which is the Guru Tattva. So the now such a mind, do not allow it to go into depression. Arey baapre, now what do I do? I can't do this also, I can't do this also. Now what do I do? Sit in silence. Don't get lost, otherwise depression will come. No. Here he says, Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, Shiva Shiva Sadguru tuzhala gudha kaya karu eka hi nirdhara dharu detasi ka. He says, O Lord, O Sadguru, what can be said about your nature? You do not allow me to arrive at any conviction and understanding. See how wonderful. This we have to understand ourselves. That even though we are pursuing the truth, we are pursuing the infinite reality, but it is not it cannot become a conviction, it cannot become an understanding, it cannot become an idea. It cannot be experienced by the mind or intellect or the senses. Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj continues in the same vein with more insistence. O Lord Sadguru, you are so incomprehensible, so hidden, that if I want to know the world, you do not allow it, and if I want to approach you, I disappear. How wonderful! The wave wanting to know the waters, the waveness disappears and only water remains. Same way, who is seeking the truth? Who is seeking the Guru Maharaj within? The individuality, the mind. Mind is individuality, individuality is mind. How is it searching for it? Objectively. It's thinking about it, and through, when he realizes that the thoughts are not enough for it, he dives deeper, becomes more available. Initially it is an effort, no doubt, but in that the seeker disappears and only Guru remains. So he is saying that you are so incomprehensible, so hidden, that if I want to know the world, you do not allow it. You do not allow it. You pull me towards you. Before I gave you the way that the world is continuously changing, so we can't catch it. If we think about the world, the only way you can catch the reality in the world is not by the forms. But there is one common denominator with respect to the world. And what is that? That everything in this world is existing. That existence is the common denominator behind every aspect of the creation of the universe. And that existence is not other than the existence that I am. And if I am searching you outside, you don't allow me. You pull me towards you, the existence. And when I try to know you, now consciousness, when I come to try to know you, I vanish. And if I want to approach you, I disappear. What shall I do? You do not allow us to develop any conviction about anything. Now he is nonplussed, meaning the mind is nonplussed. The intellect is not able to conceptualize. It is so used to conceptualization. It is so used to understanding. But truth, this Guru Maharaj, Guru Tattva is not a concept. It is not an idea. It is not a conviction. It is our nature. And when we contemplate on it, search for it, seek it, we vanish. The I vanishes. So he's saying, what do I do now? You do not allow us to develop any conviction about anything, to take the support of anything. Because this Guru Tattva is self-existing. This Guru Tattva is self-knowing. This Guru Tattva is self-illumined. When it is self-existing, self-knowing, self-illumined, and so on, then what are we going to, and that I am, that is my essential nature. This mind is searching for the truth, is seeking that truth, which is its essence. And as long as it takes the support of a thought, it will remain far away. As long as it takes the support of a thought, it remains far away. Even though it is part and parcel of the truth, it cannot come to realize it. Just like you can see, when we contemplate on the sleep every night, and as we become more and more available to the sleep, it's like the mind is speaking that, oh sleep, you are not allowing me to get involved in the world, because the more I contemplate on the sleep, the less the impact of the world on my mind, isn't it? Every night. So the mind is saying, you are not allowing me to indulge in the world also. And when I am thinking about you and I want to know you, the sleeper, the one who wants to go to sleep, that person, the waker, he vanishes. Isn't it? Waker cannot remain awake in the sleep. If waker remains awake in the sleep, that is samadhi. See? So this is what is happening there also. Thinking about sleep. Now replace the sleep with the Guru Tattva, with the essence. We are contemplating on him. The senses are withdrawn. The mind is withdrawn from the world. And that mind is saying, now I become a person who is on the threshold. Neither I am able to enjoy the world, because you don't allow me. You pull my attention towards you. And when I think about you and want to realize you, then I vanish. The mind vanishes. The I vanishes. The error in this approach of comprehending the truth is that it is an effort to conceptualize the truth and hold on to that concept as support. This is now Swamiji is explaining this. That where is the error? Like right now, I am looking at you, I know this is Surendran, this is Usha, this is Ravi, this is Suraj, and so on. My mind is able to understand, hey, these are these people, this is their name. And if I don't know anyone, I just ask, who are you? And then I come to know who it is. Same thing with this camera. My mind compromises. This is camera. This is recording going on. This is Zoom going on. This is the light. This is the book. This is the text. Everything is a comprehension. And when I don't know something, I go and find out. And I comprehend that also and come to understand it. Now this habit of comprehending everything in the material world, in the empirical world, I bring the same approach in the realm of truth. So now I want to know and comprehend and understand and conceptualize the truth also. Because my mind has got used to doing all this. From childhood till now, it is doing exactly the same thing. Same process of coming to know anything, comprehending anything. Now it thinks that if I do this same thing, I can come to know the Guru Tattva also, the self also, the essence also. It is an effort to conceptualize the truth and hold on to that concept as a support. So, who has told us there is truth? Who has told us there is a Guru Tattva? Who has told us there is something called pure consciousness? Who has told us that it is of the nature of Satchidanand? Who has told us? The scriptures. Because we were ignorant to that permanent principle which is our nature, and we're running around like a headless chicken in pain, in misery, in bondage, thinking that this world will give us the joys. It has not. Somehow by grace we got exposed to the scriptures, and scriptures started saying, hey, you are that substratum, you are that source, you are that essence of this whole world. The whole world is not outside, it is in your mind only. Today was this meditation, that the whole world is in our mind. And you can't come to a conclusion. How can you come to a conclusion that the whole world is in the mind? You have to be available. Then the world also vanishes, you also vanish. That's what happens. You as individual vanish. So initially, when the scriptures tell, how are the scriptures telling? Through words. Words are nothing but concepts. And this is how we have accepted the whole universe. I have accepted this body, that I am this body, I am this mind, I am this intellect, I am this, I am that, I am the son, I am the daughter. How? Through concepts only, through words only. I am this body, I is a word, I am is a word, body is a word. Now only words can cancel the words. So a new word is introduced. Instead of I am the body, I am the infinite consciousness. I am Paramananda. But we remain at the conceptual level, meaning we keep remaining at the word level. We have to see what that word indicates. And we know, when we have sussed it out within our bosom, that yes, there is some principle, some divine principle, some more intelligent principle. Just like we know when we start the car, that when I turn the key in the car, there is something called power, horsepower, which makes the car move. I can't see it, but I know it is there. When I put this switch on, the light comes on. I know there is some power which is expressing as the light, but I can't see the electricity. Same way, that because of which the whole universe is going on, that because of which the body, the senses, the breath, the mind, the thinking, everything is going on. This is the effect, this is the expression. What is the source? Oh, that is the Guru Tattva. Now I want to go and look for that source. But I am used to thinking everything in concept form. Now I want to use the same to go and search for that which is the source. Understand, effect can never come to know the cause. Effect can never come to know the cause, its source. So when this mind, through the words, wants, yes, these words are Guru's Tattva. That Guru Tattva is my essence. It is not other than me. I am not other than the Guru Tattva. The Guru Tattva alone is expressing in and through me. It is the only principle that is present. Nothing is outside of it. I am using all these words, but what it means, what it indicates, that there is nothing outside of me. That even these words that are being said, that there is nothing outside of this Guru Tattva, is happening in Guru Tattva, and that I am. That is my essential nature. And as long as we keep conceptualizing, keep taking the support of the words to realize the Guru Tattva, we will keep falling short of realization. There has to be aparoksha anubhuti, direct experience. We can't keep that Guru Tattva as an objective approach. Objective approach in the mind by way of thought. We can't just keep wanting to experience like you are experiencing me and I am experiencing you here on the screen. Like that I cannot experience the Guru Tattva. It is not possible. And that is the error that a seeker commits when he is approaching this Guru Tattva, contemplating on this Guru Tattva. So these concepts that Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, all these are statements of truth. But you can't just hold on to it. You have to realize it. The Guru, on the other hand, wants the disciple to discover that he himself is the support and not the supported. Guru is not because you are thinking there is a Guru. Huh? Guru's existence is not because you have given him the status of Gurudam. Because you are saying there is a self, therefore the self is. The self is self-existing. The guru is there to support, just like the physical guru is there to support the disciple, the seeker. Similarly, the essence, the pure consciousness, the reality, the Guru Tattva is there to support the seeker. Where is the seeker? In the mind. He is there to support the mind, or support the seeker or the mind. It doesn't need any support. No, truth is because I am thinking about it. Then remember those two statements. I think, therefore I am, or I am, therefore thinking happens. This you have to apply here. I think is a concept. I am is not a concept. Concept is formed through thoughts. And this Guru Tattva, our essence, our true nature, is not a concept. Reality is that wherein there is neither concept nor conviction, neither gain nor loss. When we go to sleep, there is loss of all agitations, all aspirations, all attachments, all relationships. There is loss of body identification, loss of the idea that I am body, breath, mind, intellect. And what do you gain? Bliss of sleep. Then when you wake up, or you don't want to wake up, you are awake but you don't want to wake up. Why you don't want to wake up? Because you don't want to lose the bliss and jump into the world of attachments, world of activity, world of now the daddy mummy will say, come on, today is Saturday, so what? You have to go, brush your teeth, take your shower, do your studies, then go to this class, go to that class. No, I prefer continuing to enjoy the bliss of sleep. See? And this is the shunting process that we are going through every day, in and out. But truth is unlike this. There is no going in, no going out, there is no achievement, there is no loss. This truth, that is our essential nature, is neither a conviction. Yes, conviction is required while we are an individual, when we are seeking, when we think we are the mind, conviction is required. But the nature of the essential self is not a concept or a conviction. It is a gainless gain. It is an experienceless experience. And this Guru Maharaj supports every name and form but cannot be contained in all of them. How beautiful. This is, if you take today's meditation, what we did, extend it in this manner. Space is supporting all the names and forms on this in this creation, but all the space in all the forms is not equal to the total space. Total space is much more than that. All the house spaces put together is not equal to the Melbourne space. The Melbourne space is far, 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 far more. Thus, the total space of Melbourne cannot be contained in all the objects in Melbourne. Same way, the Guru Tattva supports every name and form. The truth supports every name and form, but the truth cannot be contained in all of them, all the forms. Therefore, it is transcendental to all the names and forms, although supporting all the names and forms. Now, this is told. Na me rupe bahuvase उभारूनी पाडिली वो से परी सत्ते चैनी आवेशे तोषलासीना. O Guru Maharaj, you have created multitude of names and forms, but did not find them fully habitable, hence discarded them all. You have ultimately discovered contentment in being the substratum of them all. Understand, the material cause of the creation is nothing but that Guru Tattva, is nothing but that truth. The material cause of the wave is nothing but the waters. See? Same way, the material cause of the creation, the cosmos, is nothing but the Guru Tattva. You have created the multitude of names and forms. So that Guru Tattva alone is expressing as the names and forms. Just like you alone are expressing as the husband and the brother, or the son, or the wife and the mother and the daughter. The one alone is expressing as many. The water alone is expressing as all the waves. The gold alone is expressing as many ornaments. That one truth alone is as if, it's always as if, because father, brother, sister, daughter, wife, they are all imaginations. So they are not the reality. Man or the woman is the reality. In that example, don't take man and woman to be reality. Reality is only one. In that example, with respect to the various roles, the man and the woman are the reality. Same way, with respect to names and forms of this world, because this world is nothing but names and forms. The reality is the Guru Tattva, the pure consciousness. And this pure consciousness, just like the total waters cannot be contained within the waves, the total gold cannot be contained within the ornaments, it is much more than that. Same way, this pure consciousness, this Guru Tattva can, even though it is expressing as the names and forms, gives credence to names and forms, but it cannot be contained in all the names and forms. All the names and forms are finite. All the names and forms of past, present and future put together, added together, is not equal to the Guru Tattva. Guru Tattva is even more, is transcendental. Compared to the Guru Tattva, the entire plethora of names and forms is only a dot. Compared to the space, the total physical creation existing in the gross space, Bhutakash, the total mass of all the galaxies, blah blah blah, everything put together is only a minuscule dot in the total expanse of the space. Same thing is told in the if you must have read it or heard it, the whole creation is only a teeny meeny insignificant dot on the right toenail of the Lord Narayana. Insignificant. How can that which is infinite in nature can be contained in the finite? But finite cannot express without the infinite. The wave cannot express without the waters. Ornament cannot express without the gold. See? But did not find them fully habitable, hence discarded them all. You have ultimately discovered contentment in being the substratum of them all. So, what is the disposition of the truth? What is the disposition of the Guru Maharaj? Whether we take it as the teacher or we take it as the essence within us, the Guru principle, it finds solace within itself. It doesn't look for a disciple, for a devotee, in order to establish itself. Guru Maharaj doesn't need. Tapovan Maharaj did not need any disciples. It's unlike today. Wherever you go, people say, oh, which parampara you belong to, which ashram you belong to, which mission you belong to, which sampradaya you belong to, which lineage you belong to. This is their first question. Where is your ashram? This is the second question. And if you tell them, I don't have an ashram, they think you are not of their standard, because you don't own, as a sannyasi, you don't own any property, you don't have an ashram, you don't have a temple, you don't have disciples, you don't have followers, so therefore it's not worth talking to you. This is today's time, because everything is assessed what you have more. Sannyasi is who is a renunciate. And here, the first question that is asked is, where is your ashram? What is your lineage? I gave up my family to be a sannyasi. Now you are asking which lineage I belong to. This is all done to a disciple or to a seeker in order to change his position in life. That's all. Name is changed so that he stops thinking that he is a son of something. But we can't. If we have to belong to the truth and be the truth, then we have to cut our ties, even with the ashram, even with, if we are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, whether we are rich or poor, whether we are belonging to this lineage or that lineage, we have to cut the ties with past and future. We have to cut ties with all concepts, convictions, ideas, thoughts. We have to cut ties with everything. Then, by grace, it may be possible. See? But here, everywhere you go, this is the only question. What is your address? Where do you belong? Which is your ashram? Which lineage you are from? How many disciples are there? And if you go to India, you will find Mahatmas having their own cook, Mahatmas having their own room, ashram, secretary, trust. This is a joke of being a sannyasi. But in Kali Yuga, this is the norm. What to do? Live with it. O Guru Maharaj, you, the pure existence, the Sat, are supporting all the multitudes of names and forms. Sat means existence. A name, if I say the name Ravi, the name exists. And the form that is corresponding to it also exists. This laptop exists. This body exists. Everything that I know, and I know it only through words. If I don't have without words, I cannot come to know anything in the empirical world. So every name and every form, the essence behind it, the cause behind it, the truth behind it is existence. Because existence is Sat Chit Anand. So that Sat aspect is behind every name and every form. The Sat are supporting all the multitude of names and forms. Yet you cannot be contained within the limitations of the names and forms. I have already explained this, and yet you cannot be, because the Sat is more expansive. The existence is unbounded, unlimited. Existence doesn't begin from birth and death. When we consider ourselves, oh, I am existing. And what is our existence? That my existence began when I was born, and it will continue till the moment when I die. This is the general man's existence. But it is not like that. Existence never ends. Names and forms end. Water never ends. Wave ends. Gold never ends. Ornaments end. They come into existence, they go out of existence. Yes, they are made out of gold. But does it mean gold is equal to only the amount of gold in the ornament? No. Gold is much, much more. Is the water that is within the cause of the wave is the water. So the water which is within the wave, is that all the waters? No, water is much more than that. Same way, the consciousness that is expressing, here it is existence, I am taking consciousness also, the consciousness that is expressing through this form is it only this much? No, it is infinite in its essence. That is what we are out to realize, that we are essentially infinite. We are essentially the support of all the names and forms. We have taken a position that of identification with name and form. And therefore, we consider ourselves to be limited, we consider ourselves to be growing, we consider ourselves to be healthy or unhealthy, we consider ourselves to be hungry and thirsty, and therefore we consider ourselves to be alive and don't want to die. And if we want to die, we let it be a quick death, let there be a stroke or a heart attack, I don't want an extended painful death. Oh God, please save me, help me, I don't want to go in that way, go away that way. It should be sudden. Why? Because when these type of thoughts come to your mind, understand, we have taken the position of identification with the name and form. And who are we essentially? The infinite consciousness. This was our meditation today. Just as the ocean cannot be described as the summation of all the waves produced so far, your manifestation of names and forms is limitless, and you have finally discovered that the only way is to be and not to become. So, how many waves are there on the ocean? Infinite number of waves. So the water alone has become the infinite number of waves, and it's continuing. And the way water identified with the waves is searching for itself in the waves. It goes to first wave, hey, who am I? Go away. It is not available in this shop. Goes to the next wave, who am I? It's searching for itself in the wave. But when it searches for itself in the wave, as the wave, it gets identified with the form and name. And he cannot come to find out himself. So if he keeps trying to search for himself in all the names and forms, and that is what we are doing. We are trying to search for happiness in all the names and forms. Call it wife, call it children, call it car, call it houses, call it food, call it interaction, call it all possessions, relations, call it the space, air, fire, water, earth, everything except space, everything is form only, name and form. And we are trying to find that, to connect with it, that this will give me the solace, this will give me the satisfaction, this will give me the contentment, little bit more, little bit more, little bit more. And we lose the plot. The water is also trying to do the same. It's trying to find itself through the waves. It can never. It can never. Then what does it do? Then it goes back to the source. The water in the wave starts retracing its steps. How did I become the wave? What is the essence of mine? And it finds that it is the water. And as the water, there is no coming and going, there is no identification, there is no birth and death. There is no precipitation of personality, individuality or totality. It is as it is. The same thing. Every Guru Maharaj, every saint and sage has gone through that process. They were also, the consciousness entered into the womb and the child is born, and unknowingly, because of the environment, it starts seeking itself, seeking happiness through names and forms of the world. And some of them, the great saints and sages, they come to realize this is the wrong way. No point going in that direction. It is only creating more and more restlessness within the mind as a way of desire. No, I must go, there must be another way. And that same mind, that same consciousness which was seeking itself through names and forms, then starts seeking itself, just like you and me are doing here. And when this journey, which is not required actually, but at this moment I am, and you are considering ourselves to be a limited person, this body, this person, this personality, because we are identified to a name and form. When this vanishes out of our psyche, then from that point onwards, we are free. We are free of all the names and forms. So, just as the ocean cannot be described as the summation of all the waves produced so far, your manifestation of names and forms is limitless. We talked about it, and you have finally discovered that the only way is to be and not to become. Water is what wave is becoming. Infinite is, individuality is becoming. Man is, husband is becoming. Woman is, wife is becoming. Mother is becoming. Daughter is becoming. Friend is becoming. But the woman is. So don't become anyone. Then how do we live in this world? Again, your attention is on the world. Therefore, this question. Our attention should be on the substratum. Then this question will not appear. Questions appear only because we still consider the world of names and forms to be real. That's why the questions come in our mind. There can be no question about the self because it is your nature. Be it. Okay, I accept it, but why am I not being it? Because you are still obsessed with the name and form. As long as you are obsessed with the word name and form, you cannot go to sleep. Only when you become obsessed with sleep, then you don't have to delete the names and forms. They get deleted out of your mind by themselves. Here also same. O Guru Maharaj, you have finally discovered that the only way is to be and not to become. Take that position. Today's meditation was about being that, just being, the all-inclusive principle. Accepting everything, rejecting nothing, retaining nothing. That was the disposition required today in the meditation. Right now we are considering the world was there before we came. There are so many names and forms. Instead, take the position that I, in my essence, alone am behind all the names and forms. Why should I do that? Because the saints and sages are telling. scriptures are telling, and they are more happy without anything than than me who has everything. So while living life, continue spending time thinking in that manner, that everything is in me rather than I am in the world. No, the world is in me, because the whole world exists as name and form, and name and form are in my mind. So the whole world is in my mind. Just like the entire dream world was nothing but the mind alone becoming the dream world. It was in the mind alone. Consider that way, that this physical, the gross world is also in my mind. Sadhana can be done only in the waking state. It can't be done anywhere else when you begin. So keep contemplating in this manner. One day it will click. One day it will click. Guru is one who does not become the Guru. The fall of the Guru begins when he accepts being the guide of so-called devotees and Shishya. The fall of the Guru is when he accepts and starts blessing everyone. Come, I will bless you. Come, take the initiation from me, and from now on you are mine. Guru Maharaj never creates any relationship if he is a true Guru. The fall of the Guru begins when he accepts being the guide of so-called devotees and Shishyas. The hook of Maya then catches him, and he becomes the ornament of the disciple. He cannot live without disciple. He cannot live without his cook disciple. He cannot live without his chappal giving disciple. He cannot live without his ironing disciple. He cannot live without his driving disciple. He cannot live without his organizing disciple or devotee. See, then he becomes dependent. The moment the Guru becomes dependent, he is no longer a Guru, because he has become limited. So Guru Tattva, the infinite self-existing consciousness, when it becomes dependent on thought, when it becomes dependent on mind, like we are at this moment, we are dependent on these words in order to know ourselves. How stupid. And the words are telling, don't become dependent on words. The words are saying that Guru Tattva, which is your essence, if it is dependent on the words, it is no longer the Guru, then it has become the individual. And we say, yes, I understood that. Becomes the ornament of the disciple. So, don't fall into that trap. Here, at one level it is talking about Guru Shishya, but we take the Guru Shishya to be the Shishya is the mind, the disciple is the mind, the devotee is our mind, the Guru Tattva is the pure consciousness that I am. When this pure consciousness becomes addicted to the name and form, the thoughts and ideas and concepts, then it is no longer pure consciousness, then it is individual consciousness. If we start forgetting everything immediately, oh my God, I am losing my mind. So you remembered to remember that you are losing your mind. No commentary, except whatever is happening, and be. Pure existence alone is the Sadguru who cannot ever desert his disciple. Just like the waters can never desert the wave, the ornament cannot ever desert the ornament, the gold can never desert the ornament, the Guru Tattva can never ever desert the disciple or the devotee. It is impossible. But we want special attention, We want special attention. So when we are crying out, oh Pahi Mam, Guru Maharaj, Sadguru Nath Maharaj ki jai, I am your disciple, please take me, please make me one with you, I am available, I am available, I am available. This is the cry that goes on sometimes in our mind. We have to understand, just like the water has never abandoned a wave, the Guru Maharaj, the Guru Tattva, the pure consciousness has never abandoned the mind, the individual. Then once that clicks, then a new journey begins. Now, what is that essence? Then we will come. Bhagwan, he is saying again and again, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I will take care. You think of me. But we are thinking of everything other than the substratum. We are lost in the names and forms. When we talk about Guru, then Guru also becomes a name and form for us. And we keep big photographs and statues, and we want to pray to that statue and the form. No problem, do it. But our approach towards it should be like this, as it is given here in this verse and explained by Swamiji. If our devotion towards a great master, let it be Jnaneshwar Maharaj, let it be Ramana Maharshi, let it be Ramakrishna Paramahans, let it be Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, Anand Mahima, so many great masters. If our devotion towards them is not bringing us to this realization, what we just talking about, then we are going the wrong way. Then we have taken the name and form to be the reality. And they spent their entire life in intoxication in the infinite. And we are taking that form is the infinite. No, that form can never be the infinite. Not with the eyes that you are looking. The essence of the form is infinite, yes. The essence of every finite wave is the water, infinite waters, yes. But the wave does not know that. When we look at a master or the photograph or the statue, we don't know that. We must realize that within our own bosom. So why do we go to them? To get inspiration. That if they did it, if they were graced by the divine, they could after being born as a human being through the womb of their mother, if they can achieve that ultimate goal, it is possible. There is hope. Because I am also born through a womb. At this moment, I consider myself to be that way. And there is a possibility that I can retrace rather than remain identifying with name and form and becoming someone or the other. Let me go back to my source. Let me be the source and redefine myself. Pure existence alone is the Sadguru and who can never desert his disciple, because the same Sat Tattva manifests in one place as the Guru and in another as the disciple. The same water, the infinite water, the formless water, the limitless unconditioned water, at one place it appears as the ocean, total conditioning, and another place appears as the wave, the individual conditioning. Same way that pure existence at one place appears as the Guru Maharaj and at another place as the seeker or the disciple. But the tattva is the same. But as long as I am attached to the name and form, the disciple guru relationship will continue. But when my attention is on the tattva, then the disciple also comes to realize the Guru Tattva. Then it does not mean that now that the disciple has come to know the Tattva, so he moves away from the Guru. He may not. Once the wave has realized that it is water, it has to go nowhere, it has to be the same. But now it is not an individual anymore. It has given up all individuality. But the form appears, let it appear. But there is no identification afterwards. But we are living in identification at this moment. Because we are identified with this body, so we are individual. When this individual gets identified with another body, he becomes a husband or a wife or a brother or a son. It's on account of identification alone. Drop identifications and come to be that infinite principle. Therefore, Guru can never become the object of knowledge, being the core of our personality. The Guru, Tattva, the pure consciousness, pure existence, it can never become the object of our knowledge. Object of our knowledge means you are objectively listening to me right now. You are objectively looking at me right now. If you look at yourself, you are objectively looking at your body. You are objectively looking at your thoughts appearing in your mind also. The breath that is coming and going. You are objectively. You can experience objectively only that which is limited. You can objectively experience only that which is conditioned by time space. But this Guru Tattva, this essence of ours, which is the substratum, the foundation, the common denominator behind all the names and forms, it's vast, endless, beginningless. How will we give it a form? How will we give it a form? And then objectify it? How will we give it a form and objectify it? Not possible, because it is the one which is supporting all the forms, but yet is beyond. The water is supporting all the individual waves and the total oceans. Yet water is beyond the total number of oceans and waves put together. So how can the ocean or the wave come to know the infinite waters? Because they are products of total conditioning. One is identified with total conditioning, one is identified with individual conditioning. See? So this essence of ours, the conscious principle within us, which not within us, that is us, which is invigorating the body, breath, mind, intellect, thoughts, which is expressing as life, it cannot be objectified, and objectification is done through name and form. It cannot become a concept or a conviction. It cannot be an object of knowledge, because it is the very core of our personality. It is our own essence. That is my true nature. That is my natural state. Every name and form should be understood to be the manifestation of the Sadguru, and the Guru Tattva is therefore the ability of the seeker to receive the message from any event or situation or person. Now see, here first it talked about the core, now it is talking about every name and form is nothing but the Sadguru. Right now be very attentive. Right now we are using every word in order to contemplate on the Sadguru, the Guru Tattva. Isn't it? We are seeking. That's why we are in satsang. That our mind is through the various verses of Jnaneshwar Maharaj, and we get, our mind gets transported to that unconceptualizable principle. Oh, that felt very good, this, that. Instead, why don't you think? It's only question of thinking or being. Right now your observation is, so what did we do in the whole class? Oh, we are talking about the Guru Tattva. You remember, you know. Oh, do you know that the thoughts were coming? Yeah, I know. What were they thinking? Oh, they were thinking about the self. The thoughts were thinking about the self. The mouth was taking the name of the Lord. The mind was thinking about the infinite. How was it thinking about the infinite? By using the word infinite. Did it realize? No, but pata nahi, I must have done, still long time to go. So rather than using name and form, which we do by going to temples, etc., instead of using name and form to realize the truth, why don't you take the position that the truth, the consciousness that I am, the life that I am, is pervading the names and forms? This was our meditation today. It is pervading the names and forms. Take that position. It's only a question of your disposition. Instead of seeking, instead of looking from bottom up, oh my God, it's so far away, it's so huge, it's so expansive. Why don't you be the expanse and see that everything is within you, the consciousness? When we consider ourselves to be the space in the pot, oh, outside space is so huge. Why don't you take the position of the space? What is the position of the space? Oh, I am in every pot. When we are thinking ourselves to be this pot, then, oh my God, realization, big, 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 it's beyond my scope, man. I don't know how. But the space inside the pot and space outside the pot is exactly the same. The infinite consciousness and the nature of the individual consciousness is exactly the same. Take a position that I am that consciousness and start living that way, being that way. That everything this consciousness that I am is supporting. Then you will not be identified with only this body. Slowly, slowly, all the identifications will drop away by themselves. Every name and form should be understood to be the manifestation of the Sadguru, the Sadguru Tattva, the pure consciousness. And the Guru Tattva is therefore the ability of the seeker. See, we cannot come to know the infinite. What is the glory of the infinite waters? What is the glory of the infinite waters? The glory of infinite water is to express as the total ocean and the individual wave. It's a phenomena which is going on. So what is the glory of the infinite Guru Tattva? To express as the Guru and the disciple. To express as name and form is its glory. And as we are moving in our life, continuously interacting with name and form, is interaction with every name and form transporting us back, reminding us of our essential nature? As a seeker we are saying, is it reminding us of the essential nature? Are we falling back again and again and again and again back to the substratum? See? Is the husband coming back to be the man, or he is getting lost in being the husband? Then he'll never be at peace. But he doesn't forget that he is the man. He plays the role of the husband. Then he will understand that I am also playing the role of father, I am also playing the role of friend, I am also playing the role of all other roles. So I should not be over enthusiastic about being the husband. I am actually the man. Then the impact of the husband and etc., it will diminish. Same way, the impact of individuality, which is on account of identification with body, breath, mind, intellect, the impact of these equipments, it will start diminishing. And when that completely diminishes, the person realizes, hey, I am the one who's supporting all the mind, all the body, breaths, minds and intellects. All the thoughts, all the emotions, all the breaths. Slowly, slowly it dawns. For some it dawns slowly, for some it is one click and it happens. The ability of the seeker to receive the message from any event or situation or person. He is not an individual to whom one clings. The Guru Maharaj is not an individual to whom one clings. He is not a form. This knowledge that the Atma Tattva is the substratum of every name and form is the true salutation to the Guru. That this Atma Tattva equal to Guru Tattva, equal to Paramatma, equal to Brahman, equal to Ishvara, if you want to use that word, is the substratum, is the material, the efficient cause and the material cause, Nimitta Upadan Karan of all the names and forms. No name and form in this creation can exist independent of this consciousness that I am. Independent of this consciousness that I am. When you start believing, accepting, living as being it, then this obsession that I was born and one day I will die, this will go away, man. Nobody is born and nobody dies. Equipment, the matter comes into existence, matter goes out of existence. Consciousness doesn't come into existence. Consciousness is ever existing. Consciousness cannot go out of existence because it is infinite, it is ever. Anadi Ananta. Ajanma, unborn. In this way, this is the dialogue we must have with ourselves. This is not to teach others. This is the contemplation. This is the self-talk that our mind must have with itself. And then fall into the conscious silence. Not go to sleep, but conscious silence. We'll look at the next 39th verse next week. Beautiful thought given by Jnaneshwar Maharaj and commented by Hanumananji. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for 1 minute. Hari Om.
हरिओम स्वामी जी.
Yeah.
Have a good evening, good afternoon.
Yes. Hari Om Swamiji, thank you.
Hari Om Laju.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om Usha.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Oh, you are there. Good.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Take care.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om बोल. से सुबह थे.
जी हाँ.
हाँ.
Hari Om
sir.
Swamiji.
Take care, बेटा.